Back to Besa starts right now on Fox 13. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Back to Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon, and per usual, we have a lot to talk about today, so grab your snacks. This week on Back to Besa, we highlight Seattle's very own Double Dutch Divas. We relive what happened when the Harlem Globetrotters came to town. We talk soul food with Simply Soulful Cafe owner Lillian Rumbus. And it's Black History Month, so we are highlighting past interviews done with Seattle NBA legend Shawn Kemp, Margaret Avery, who actually played Suge Avery in the original movie of The Color Purple, plus the president of the Black Heritage Society of Washington, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver, tells us the history of Seattle photographer Al Smith. But first, you already know, it's Hot Topics. Okay, so this week on Hot Topics, I think it's safe to say that we can keep it on a positive note, right? So earlier this week, I was shocked when I found out that our Seattle Storm have signed Skylar Diggins Smith to a 2-year deal. In a recent quote about joining the Seattle Storm, Skylar Diggins Smith said the organization's dedication to its players and the progression of the league is commendable. Stepping onto the court aside Joel, benefiting from the leadership of Noel Quinn, and feeling the energy of the Seattle Storm fans is a combination that I am confident will lead to success. Now, you may remember 15-year-old Maya Michelle Russell, who currently attends Holy Names Academy in Seattle, when we actually featured her song and poem that she performed over at Elevate. Now, this time around, because I told you we were going to keep up with what she's doing, she actually sang the national anthem at the Seattle Kraken game over at Climate Pledge Arena for their kids' night. Check it out.
In the Rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Shout out to you, Maya, for killing the national anthem that night over at the Kraken game. And honestly, in case you guys missed it, they actually won that game. So you never know. Maya actually might have been their good luck charm. Now, this was super wild when it hit my timeline. I honestly thought it was a photo of the late Takeoff that I'd never seen. However, an artist that goes by the name of Mr. Official actually created this wax figure. Like, dude, check this out. Let's be honest. We see a lot of wax figures, and a lot of these wax figures are not it. I don't know who is helping them with their teams. I don't know who's putting it together. I don't know if they're rushing. Half the time the skin tones aren't right and the heads typically aren't even shaped right. Like, it's just a mess. This, on the other hand, is absolute art. And Mr. Officials, I don't know if I'm giving you too much work on your plate, but I'm gonna need for you to redo a whole lot of these wax figures, because honestly, we deserve this kind of greatness. If someone's going to make us into a wax figure, at least make it look realistic. The 89th iteration of the Sports Star of the Year Awards is right around the corner. For 9 decades, the Sports Star has recognized the athletic achievements of Washington sports legends. Created by Royal Broham and the Seattle Post-Intelligencer in 1935, the event has filled the ballrooms of Seattle's finest hotels and theaters, featuring athletes, coaches, and community members behind the most memorable sports moments. This year's event will emphasize the athletic achievements of 2023, as well as the milestones that catapulted Washington sports into global headlines. Dude, last year during the 88th Sports Star of the Year Awards, I had the pleasure of hosting the red carpet with my Converge media family, and I'm happy to say we've been invited to do it all over again this year. Let's take a moment to relive what went down last year on the red carpet of the Sports Star of the Year Awards. Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. Let's talk about how I recently went to my first ever Seattle Sports Commissioned Sports Star of the Year Awards. For starters, when I first got there, of course, I had to check out the trophy room. Let me tell you, they had all of the championships, all of the memorabilia. I truly felt like I was in Washington sports legendary heaven. Now, although the trophy room was absolutely amazing, that's not why I was there. I was actually there with my Converge fam, and my whole job was to hold down the red carpet and talk with all of the athletes, all the legends, and even some of the coaches that were in the room. all while my buddy Chuck from Circling Seattle Sports and Converge Media was on the other side of the room talking to all of the sports legends. Now, of course, we weren't actually the only media in the room. There was also Q13, we had KJR 93.3, and even the iconic Sonic podcast was in the room. There were a lot of media people, and honestly, it's been a minute since I've been around my media fam like that, outside of my media mixers anyways. Now, of course, a sporting event is nothing without the mascots, so I was happy to meet Blitz, Bowie, Harry the Husky. Yes, it was a full-on, star-studded event. I want to take a moment to thank the Seattle Sports Commission for inviting myself and Converge Media to come out and do what we do best within our community, and that is uplift. So until next year, drop a comment below letting us know your favorite Washington sports memory. That day literally lives rent-free in my head. And the fact that former Seahawk player KJ Wright, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing twice, is hosting, that just makes it even better. I can't wait to reconnect with everyone within the sports industry that I've met over the last year and ask their favorite Washington sports moment of 2023. And by the way, you may have noticed Circling Seattle Sports Charles Hamaker in the video, and yeah, he was there last year, and guess what? I'm happy to say Chuck will be holding down interviews on Media Row once again. Be sure to grab your tickets for this year's Sports Star of the Year Awards at seattlesports.org. We're off to our first commercial break, but when we come back, I show you what went down at Climate Pledge Arena when the Harlem Globetrotters came to town. And still to come, we get to learn all about Seattle's Double Dutch Divas. You're watching Back to Besa. Welcome back to Besa. The Harlem Globetrotters are more than just basketball players. They are global icons of family entertainment. With over 90 years of breaking down barriers and acts of goodwill, the Globetrotters have entertained over 148 million fans in 123 countries. They've introduced countless individuals to the sport of basketball and pioneered some of the most exciting and innovative moves in the game. From the slam dunk to the fast break, the Globetrotters have left their mark on sports and those who watch them play. Last week, I had the pleasure of watching them take on the Washington Generals at Climate Pledge Arena, and as usual, they didn't disappoint. Check out how it all went down. What's so dope about the Harlem Globetrotters is that there's something for everyone. You have your dunking, you have your dancing, and don't get me started on the fan interactions. I think if I had to run down my favorite moment, it would have to be the super fan. When this little man came out, he stole the show with his big personality, dance moves, and the fact that he was game for anything. If you were at the Harlem Globetrotters game, dude, send me an email at backtobesa@whereweconverge.com or hit me up on social media at Besa Gordon and let me know what your favorite moment was. We're off to another commercial break, but when we come back, we're talking all about Seattle's double Dutch divas and still to come, the history of Seattle photographer Al Smith. Welcome back to Besa. I remember being in elementary school and my favorite part of PE was when we got to play double Dutch. Not gonna lie, back then I was pretty good at it, but these days, not so much. However, when it comes to Seattle's double Dutch divas on the other hand, yeah, they make me want to get my skills up and learn all over again. Double Dutch Divas was started in 2021 by Angie Mosley during the pandemic as something to do and a reason to get out the house while also getting in a good workout. Since then, Double Dutch Divas has focused on the growth and promotion of the sport of double Dutch, educating students about how their heart works, how to stay healthy, and getting the community active. Let's take a minute to learn more about the Double Dutch Divas.
Double Dutch Divas is all about unity in the community. We want to bring happy families together. We want to bring kids outside of their comfort zone and doing something that they've never done before. So Double Dutch, it incorporates togetherness, unity in the community, exercise, drinking water, and instead of you going to your room, you go outside. We need these kids to get outside and promote happiness. We want to see kids smile. We want to get them off of the social media and get them out of that anxiety and the depression mode by enjoying other people and other lives and becoming friends with people that they've never seen before. So that's what we want to do, bring everybody together all as one. Double Dutch Divas has been established 2021. And so when that happened, everything happened. Like, it brought happiness to my life as well, you know? So we're just trying to promote togetherness for people to enjoy doing double Dutch, which is a fantastic sport. It's an enrichment program, and it's a happy everything. I was really on a health tip, and I needed to lose some weight and tone my body up. So we, as a group of friends, went down to the pits and we just started double dutching. Like, double dutch didn't just start now, but it just helps me get into shape. And so I incorporated it, and it brought a team together of double Dutch divas. And so we're just down there trying to work out, and it built a whole community environment of double Dutch and happiness. I just want to be able to allow the kids to be comfortable in speaking with other kids, other nationalities, and just become involved in a team sport. Double Dutch is a very healthy sport, and it's an enrichment program. It builds trust, it builds togetherness, it builds family. And so that's just what I want to see. I want these kids to take away the fact that there are people out here in the community that really love you. There are opportunities out here. Double Dutch Divas, we don't just involve enrichment programs for the kids. We invite you to come join Double Dutch Divas. There's wonderful opportunities. We go places, and it's a paid opportunity as well. So bring your kids to our programs. We're all over the place, and we don't mind just working for you. That's what we do. We work for you. You are part of us, and we are part of you. That's what it's all about. These kids are going to be our future as well, so we need them. They need us. We learn from them, and they learn from us.
I'm not sure if you caught it in the video, but I definitely tried to double Dutch last year at Bubble and Brown Sugar, and although I didn't do well, I still had a great time trying. It's something about jumping into those ropes, knowing that you might not have it all together, you might not be great at it, but you know what? You're still going to have a good time. And frankly, they make you so comfortable while you're there. They give you tips, they tell you that you're doing good, and they count you in. I want to take a moment and thank Angie and everyone that's part of the Double Dutch Divas. The joy that you bring to the community is truly a beautiful thing. And as you just saw in the video, it doesn't matter how young or old you are. Everyone that wants to double Dutch can, and honestly should. Give it a try. I can tell you from experience, they will make you feel right at home. To learn more about Double Dutch Divas, head over to doubledutchdivasllc.com. We're off to another commercial break, but before we go, I wanted to show you part of my interview I did with Seattle hip-hop alternative artist Oblé Reed, where we take a moment to address our youth and what they are going through right now. But when we come back, we will highlight the work of legendary Seattle photographer Al Smith with the help of the Black Heritage Society of Washington State's president, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver. You already know, you're watching Back to Besa.
We're in the age of the internet right now, and I encourage people to remember that real life is off of your phone. It is off of the Wi-Fi. It is the people that you surround yourself with. And, you know, our human minds weren't meant for all these intense roller coaster of emotions. And I think that, yes, there is a time and place to continue to be on the internet because you want to stay, you know, present and stay up to date, and you want to push your music, and you want to, you know, like, that's necessary. But remember that it's okay to take time away. Like, numbers aren't everything. You're young. Your time will come. Don't force anything, because like I was saying earlier, the more that you force it, the more you're gonna grow to hate it.
Yeah.
And the more that you're gonna grow to hate the person that you become, it's gonna be a smorgasbord of TikToks that you scroll 8 hours through. And self-care every single day. Every single day. I don't care how busy you are. I don't care how many things you feel like you need to get accomplished today. You'll accomplish way more if you are ready and prepared and feeling the love for yourself. So, yeah.
It's real stuff.
Keep going. And go outside. Go outside and meet people. The internet doesn't count as meeting people. go outside.
Emojis don't count.
Exactly. Exactly.
Welcome back to Besa. It's officially Black History Month, and as Seattle continues to grow and change, it's important to remember the rich history that has shaped the city into what it is today. Thanks to Al Smith, we have a rare glimpse into the vibrant social life of Seattle's Central District in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. As a young man working as a steward on steamships in the 1930s, Al traveled the world and developed a curiosity that he carried with him throughout his life. When he returned to Seattle in 1939, he bought a professional camera with him and began to capture his friends, family, and the world around him. Al's passion for photography never waned, and in later years, he meticulously organized and sorted through his photos, leaving us with an unparalleled document of the city's histories. Al Smith's legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of preserving our past and the stories that make up the fabric of our communities. If you've ever been to the Black Media Matters studio, or you've watched Converge media shows like The Day with Trey, you've seen the historic photos on our mural wall and probably asked yourself, who took those photos and what's the story behind them? Well, you can't talk about the mural wall within the Black Media Matters studio without talking about Al Smith. Let's take a moment to hear from the president of the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver, as we get the story of Al Smith.
Hello, everyone. Hello, community. I am Stephanie Johnson Tolliver, and I am president at the Black Heritage Society of Washington State. It's Thursday. It's my favorite day of the week. It's Throwback Thursday. and I'm going to take you on a journey of the beautiful photo mural wall here at Converge Media. How do we get started with the mural wall here at Converge Media without first starting with the story of Al Smith? Al Smith was the renowned photographer who photographed in the Central District of Seattle through the 1940s and 50s and into the 60s. He amassed a collection of images of more than 40,000. So you can see that the wall behind me is just this teensy small bit of what he has to share. His collection captured the Central District community, the lives, the everyday lives of Black people, the jazz scene, and just bits and pieces of birthday parties and house parties. He donated that collection of 40,000 images to the Museum of History and Industry in 2014. Al Smith received his first camera, which was a Brownie camera, at the age of 12. That's when it sparked his imagination about photography and all of his interest. Al Smith, a Seattle native, his family, his parents moving here in 1914 to Seattle Central District, Al was the first African-American student at O'Day High School. In the early 30s, he was intrigued by travel and wanted to get out of the city. He signed up for the Merchant Marines. Al met and married Isabel Izzy Donaldson in 1941. It's a whole nother story about Izzy. Her family came to Roslyn, Washington in the 1890s to coal mine. Al first put his eyes on Izzy at Annie Smith's Cafe, and Annie's was a site that was located in the Green Book. She waitressed there, and that's where he fell in love, and eventually they were married, had 2 children, Butch and Cheryl. There are photos of them on the mural wall. He advanced his hobby from photography to professionalism. He eventually started his own business on the spot in the early 1940s. He still maintained his work with the Seattle Post Office, but he really took off with that photography business. He would show up at jazz clubs, birthday parties. He was hired by a number of community members and social groups to photograph them. You can find more of Al's images at the MoHi website. Click on the Al Smith collection and you'll be able to see at least 500 of those 40,000 images. They continue to digitize his collection, so check back frequently to see what you can find. I should add that other images on this wall are images from the Black Heritage Society as well. So, again, if these walls could talk, you heard it here.
It's crazy to think that Al Smith took 40,000 photos capturing the history of Seattle, but I'm so happy he did. In a time where everything is digital and people are trying to rewrite history, stories like this are the ones that I hope continue to get passed down generations. That way, the next little boy or girl can be inspired to capture our history so it never dies. To see more photos taken by Al Smith, head on over to mohi.org. All right, it's time for another commercial break, but before we go, since we're talking about Black history, I want to take a moment to show you a clip of an interview I did with Miss Margaret Avery, who played Suge Avery in the original movie of The Color Purple. In this clip, she talks about what it was really like to be an actress coming up back in the day. Plus, still to come, we head over to 23rd and Jackson in the Central District to learn all about Simply Soulful Cafe.
They, with us not being in any decision-making positions at that time, and even now we need to be more in, to green light a film, to green light what kind of casting. Dorothy Dandridge, our beautiful woman, who inspired me to become an actor. She could have been a bigger star. She should have her picture on a strip. But what happened to her? And the days that my dear Cicely Tyson, those years, there were years that she didn't work. I was wondering what happened to her. It wasn't because there wasn't work that she could have done. It was the opportunity to do that work. So after Color Purple, and I'll just throw this in, after Color Purple, I couldn't even get a manager. I went around trying to get a manager and the manager was saying, well, what can I do with you? I thought, help me get work. What are we going to put you in? Remember, we didn't have our Spike Lees and all the wonderful women of color directing now, and there was nothing there. 8 years prior, there was the wonderful film Sounder that Paul Winfield and Cicely Tyson starred in. If any of you saw that, I mean, it's a classic. If you haven't seen it, see it. And it was all about family strength and love for one another. And it was a very positive film and very positive for our men of color. So when Color Purple came out, you would think that there would have been something for us, but the only person that gained from the Color Purple at female was Whoopi, because she had a 3-picture deal. She went from the Color Purple to it wasn't the one that she got, I think it was Lightning something, but it was 3 pictures, and she was very talented as a comedian, so she hooked up with the other white, very established comedians and did, they went around and raised money for some fund. It was Robin Williams and another comedian. So she was able to get her career really going. And then Oprah, she was already a star in Chicago with her show that beat out other people, and it became syndicated during the time that Color Purple was being released. So everybody was thinking, oh, isn't it wonderful that Oprah got her show because of the Color Purple? No, she was a big star in Chicago for years with her own show. So I'm saying now what's so wonderful is that there is opportunity. There's opportunity out there. When you see our wonderful women of color directing and different, just to be able to turn the channel off of a Black film that you don't like and turn to something else on Netflix and Hulu and all these others. Young people have a wonderful time now. The only thing, as I said before, we still don't have people in those green light positions of control in the studios to be able to green light this picture, because we have a lot of wonderful stories that never get green lighted.
Welcome back to Besa. I'm your host, Besa Gordon, and Simply Soulful Cafe's newest location in the Central District on 23rd and Jackson is the perfect place to go for some good old soul food to help get your mind off of the cold and at times gloomy weather here in Seattle. After relocating their restaurant to 23rd and Jackson, the new location offers twice the capacity of their original location that was in Madison Valley, with an upstairs meeting space, additional seating, and a parking garage. Owners Barbara Collins and Lillian Rumbus, who are actually mother and daughter, by the way, were inspired to start a restaurant and started by selling pies at farmers markets. After opening up their first location in 2014, they found a new home on 23rd and Jackson. Simply Soulful's menu includes anytime breakfast, lunch, and dinner options with traditional soul food eats like catfish, gumbo, chicken, pork chops, mac and cheese, red beans and rice, yams, and of course, their pies. Let's take a moment to learn more about Simply Soulful Cafe.
We're at Simply Soulful, new location, 23rd and Jackson in the historical Central District, right on the corner where the Red Apple used to be. No, we're just trying to keep the legacy here, still keeping the same ingredients, cooking techniques and everything that we had on Madison, and just serving it to you same hot and fresh like here on Jackson as we did on Madison. Me and my mother were both inspired and wanted to open up some kind of food business. Started out selling my grandma's recipe, sweet potato pie at the farmer's market, and as time just went on, timing just popped up and we ended up down in Madison in 2014. So my grandma was born and raised in Mississippi, as well as my mother and father, so we're like first generation Washingtonians. every week pretty much. My grandma had her own boarding home. She cooked every day, had her own garden. As I got older and started maybe cooking and things like that, people experienced our food, you know, at work, where we would take leftovers from Thanksgiving, things like that. You know, a lot of people commented on how good it was and things like that. So that's why we took the sweet potato pie. That was one thing that we always cooked a lot of, right? So taking it to work and getting feedback, in 2011, we actually started selling that sweet potato pie at the farmer's market, and we just went on from there. They have a black business right here on the corner of 23rd and Jackson. As much gentrification that's happened in the city, you know, as many families that have been displaced, for us to be here along with every other black business on the corner. We got Queen Care, we got 23rd Avenue Brewery, Boosh, Catfish Corner, A for Apple, you know, daycare. You know, just to have that stamp. Black coffee is coming right there to the old Starbucks, right? So just to have that stamp on the neighborhood, like, you know, we're still here, you know, this is still our neighborhood, and the support's been great. I've been able to cultivate a pretty good crew. We should treat our businesses like we treat every other business. We should believe that this is something that can prosper, that can go on. It's important to our kids, you know, to see us, to continue that black excellence into the future. You know, we want to be here to set an example of what resiliency can look like, you know what I mean? We're here. We are still the same business as we were, you know, down in Madison. Actually, we still have the Madison location. We just use it as our commissary kitchen. So my mom and those guys are still down there, you know, continuing to keep everything as much as possible the same as it was when we were down on Madison. You know, we want you to be able to come up here into our new space, enjoy it, the outdoor space, the indoor space. You know, we're still unapologetically black, like you said. We keep our music list, you know, with the good old school R&Bs, funk, however we do it. You know, on Sunday, that was part of the design of this, was for it to be a rotating art gallery for black artists. So like you said, our website says Myron Curry. Right now we actually have Rodney King, who is Kingspin, I believe is his tag name. So every 4 months, Jasmine Scott, who's our art curator, she also owns Art Noir with her mother on 23rd and Union. She's our art curator, so she comes in every 4 months and highlights different black artists. So that's another thing. Come in, see what we got to offer. All the art is available for sale. That's something we're working on in the future, as far as, you know, making this really a hub for our community to come back and to be able to celebrate us still being here.
I just love restaurants that are based around generational recipes that have been passed down. If you're looking for some good gumbo, mac and cheese, pies, or other Southern cuisine, be sure to head over to Simply Soulful Cafe. It's located at 2321 South Jackson Street in Seattle, Washington. It's time for us to jump into another commercial break. But when we come back, we're talking about events happening around the city you need to know about. Of course, you're watching Back to Besa. Welcome back to Besa. It's time for events to know about. That way, you're not missing out on any of the dope events happening in the city. But also, dude, it's Black History Month, so you already know I gotta give you guys the rundown. First up. Okay, so this is really dope because this actually started today, you guys, okay? There are brand new exhibitions over at Wanawari in Seattle, all right? So for starters, you have Downtime Table Time by Brandon Donahue Ship. You also have She's Me by Marion Burnett. There's This Isn't Getting Laid by DK, and Selected Works by Christopher Idema. Now, you're actually able to see these longer than just this weekend, and actually even past this month, okay? These exhibits will be available for you to check out over at Wanawari from February 3rd all the way to April 20th. Now, Wednesday, February 7th is Tell Them We Are Rising at Frankie Toby Jones Bristol Building. This is over in Tacoma. On February 9th is Illuminating Legacy, Black History Month Expo over at The Collective. This is downtown Seattle, by the way, kind of South Lake Union-ish. On Friday, February 16th, Marlon Wayans will be over at The Moore. On Saturday, February 17th, there are a few different events going on, so let's get through them. Black-owned business vendors market is going down at the Outlet Collection in Seattle. There's also Black History Month soiree over at Bainbridge Island Museum of Art. That sounds like a vibe, not even gonna hold you. Then there is also the first annual Black Business Brunch over at Tacoma Armory. Now, Tuesday, Thursday, February 20th is Noirpreneurship, okay? This is happening over at the Asia Pacific Cultural Center. Saturday, February 24th, there are a lot of events going down this day, so of course, let's get through them. STG and Outback welcomes Nate Jackson's Super Funny World Tour. This is happening over at the mall, and you guys already know Nate Jackson is from out here, and he actually owns a Super Funny Comedy Club over in Tacoma, so definitely make sure y'all show up and show out for that one. Also that day is Celebrate Black History by digging up your family roots. This is actually very interesting. Okay, check this out. Basically, they are showing you different ways that you can actually trace your family roots, and they're also giving you a chance to write your family history for your future descendants. So I think this is gonna be dope. This is actually happening over at 1102 South Pearl Street in Tacoma. Now, Saturday, February 24th, the Griot Party Experience presents Black is Life. This is happening over at Bulldog News and Cafe over on University Way, Northeast Seattle. Let me tell you something. Do not forget, we just featured a segment on the Griot Party Experience when they literally killed it over at Langston Hughes. So if you didn't make it to that one, definitely pull up on February 24th. Also, that same day is the start of X, the Life and Times of Malcolm X. This is showing over at McCall Hall. I know you guys have been seeing all the commercials. I'm definitely trying to pull up for that one. And then lastly, Sunday, February 25th is Painting for a Phenomenal Cause at Kay's Paint Joint. All right, that's it for this week's events to know about. But as I was saying, it is Black History Month. So look, if you know of any events that are going down for Black History Month and you want for me to shout them out right here on Back to Besa next week, please send me an email, backtobesa@whereweconverge.com, or you can hit me up on social media at Besa Gordon too. Either way, I want to hear from you because I want to know about all of the amazing Black History Month events that are going down this year. That way I can make sure I share them with everybody else. We're off to our last commercial break, but before we go, I want to highlight when I got to catch up with NBA legend Shawn Kemp and let you guys see what he said he did to up his game when he first started in the NBA. And of course, when we come back, it's time for Affirmation of the Week.
And this is a true story. Me and Gary Payton both. This is, I'll let you guys in on this. We ended up having to buy futons and spend most of the night working out when guys didn't realize that we were working out. We were trying to get an advantage on guys. So when guys would go out to the club, when guys would go to the bed, we would go back to the gym, work our butts off, trying to get an advantage on it.
Wow, and then you go to sleep in there and then work
We would
out
go
when
to
you
sleep
woke
in
up.
there and be in there and be ready for practice in the morning.
And they just didn't know.
No, we wouldn't tell anybody. Absolutely not.
So basically, you shocked the heck out of the whole team eventually when they were just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, we got it from a coach. His name was Tim Gergridge. Used to coach at UNLV. One of George Karl's assistants. Really challenged us to be better than who we were. You know, at one time, me and Gary was playing here in Seattle, and the Sonics were talking about trading both of us. They didn't think we were mature enough, and they didn't think we were good enough, and they didn't think we worked hard enough. So, hearing those things, it either makes you or breaks you. We took that as a challenge and said that, hey, we will take those boos and turn them into cheers.
You ever just take a serious moment to reflect on your life and see how far you've come, and more importantly, where you're going? Well, this weekend, believe it or not, I finally had a day off. Crazy, right? Doesn't happen often. And decided to hop on the Washington State Ferry to Bainbridge Island and find my thoughts while gazing back at our Emerald City. This journey called Back to Besa has been a whirlwind to say the least. But as I reflect back on nearly 20 episodes and over 100 stories, yes, can you believe it's been over 100 stories since our launch on July 1st? I realize what a very special position I am in to uplift you and our community. To uplift your stories, your joys, your pains, your passions, and your future. And not just here in Seattle, but in Tacoma, Portland, Spokane, and even Boise. Please believe, I don't take this position that I hold, nor your trust and viewership lightly. And just know that I am still that roundaway girl from the Central District, chasing her dreams and trying to help as many people as I can along the way. Reflecting, it feels good to see how far Back to Besa has come. Gazing into the future, I am so optimistic as to where we will go together. Thank you for your support. Welcome back to Besa. Of course, I'm your host, Besa Gordon. And of course, every single week, we like to end the show with an affirmation. This week's affirmation is more so of a mantra rather than an affirmation, but let's talk about it. You know, it's Black History Month, right? And a lot of times during Black History Month, we talk about the history that has happened 50, 60, sometimes 70 years ago. But we have to remember, day by day, week by week, we are making new history. So you want to make sure that you're putting that best foot forward every single day, every single week, every single month. That way you can make sure that you are solidified in the history books. But you want to be solidified in the best light, okay? So friend, as I always say, please do one thing each and every day that your future self will thank you for. Because whether you want to think of it or not, every single day, somehow, some way, you are making history. All right, you guys, that is it for this week's episode of Back to Besa. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if there's anything that you guys want for me to highlight this month for Black History Month, definitely send me an email at backtobesa@wherewecconverge.com. Of course, you can keep up with me on the radio right here in Seattle. You see it right there on Hits 106.1. I'm on weekdays from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. and on Sundays, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Plus, I'm also on in Portland on Gem 107.5 every single Saturday from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So definitely tap in with me if you're in these cities, or you can always listen in for free on the iHeartRadio app. Anywho, in the meantime, between time, dude, I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day. Of course, I want to thank you all for watching, and you already know what I'm going to say. Please, keep that energy high.